Hey everybody, ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Okay, great. Today we're going to tackle dating across generations.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it is. And, you've given us some really interesting source material here. Everything from like shifting societal norms to,
Right.
how technology is playing a role.
Of course. Yeah.
It's a lot to unpack. So buckle up.
I'm ready.
Okay, so we've got four generations that we're really focusing on here, right?
Yes.
Baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z.
Right.
It's crazy to think about like how much the concept of love and relationships has transformed even in just the last few decades.
Yeah, it really is.
To really get this, I think we need to start with how each generation's values around dating have really been shaped by like the world they grew up in.
Absolutely. You can't talk about dating as this like monolithic thing.
Right.
Each generation comes with, its own set of experiences and values.
Italy.
If you think about like the boomers, right? Coming of age during the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement.
Huge, huge societal changes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like those were eras of immense social change. Questioning authority, redefining traditional values.
for sure.
That backdrop, I think, inevitably kind of influenced how they view relationships and commitment today.
Yeah. It really makes you wonder, did those experiences make them like more idealistic about love
Mm.
or more cautious, maybe?
It's such a fascinating question. And honestly, I think the answer probably varies,
Yeah. Yeah.
from person to person.
Right.
But it highlights how, we can't ignore that historical context.
Right. For sure.
Then you have millennials, like true digital natives.
Right.
They've never known a world without the internet.
Right.
Coming of age
Yeah.
during the rise of social media, a rapidly shifting economic landscape,
Totally different world.
has to, that's bound to impact how they approach connection and commitment, right?
Absolutely. I mean, they're juggling this incredible desire for connection with like this constant pressure to achieve and build a personal brand you know,
And document everything.
and document everything online.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot.
it's a lot. Yeah,
No wonder dating can feel so complicated for them.
exactly.
Yeah.
Then you've got Gen X, right?
Right.
Kind of sandwiched in between these two very distinct worlds.
Right.
They witnessed that transition from analog to digital. They experienced like rising divorce rates
Yeah.
and maybe developed a certain pragmatism when it comes to love.
It's like they've seen it all.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit jaded, maybe.
And maybe a little jaded, yeah. But speaking of navigating, I think each generation is facing like their own unique set of hurdles in the dating game these days. Would you agree?
Definitely.
Yeah.
For boomers, it might be adapting to, modern dating norms.
Totally.
Online dating with all the, the swiping and the algorithm
With them.
can feel incredibly foreign to someone who's used to, more traditional ways of meeting people.
Yeah, it's like a whole different universe.
It really is.
Like even beyond just the tech, like the very language of dating has evolved.
For sure.
You've got ghosting and benching and situationships.
All these new terms,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
it's a minefield. It really is.
It can be very intimidating,
Yeah, totally.
especially for a generation that values that, face-to-face connection, genuine intimacy.
Right.
Then you've got Gen X, maybe dealing with a different kind of dating fatigue.
Yeah.
They might be juggling, established careers, families from previous relationships,
Mhm.
and just kind of a sense of skepticism about finding lasting love.
Like, have they seen it all?
Yeah.
And they're not sure if they have the energy to play the game again.
Right.
But that fundamental desire for connection, I think, is still there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Doesn't go away. Which brings us to millennials.
Okay.
The generation often portrayed as obsessed with online dating,
Right.
but maybe they're actually struggling with this paradox of choice,
Okay.
right? They're bombarded with options, with endless potential partners,
All at their fingertips.
It's a fascinating contradiction.
It is. It makes you wonder, does having access to, like, countless potential partners
Right.
actually make it easier to find love?
That's the question.
Or does it make it harder?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
On the surface, it seems like, more choices should equal more success.
Right.
But what if it actually leads to, like, analysis paralysis?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you're not just looking for a partner, you're looking for the perfect partner.
Right.
An impossible task.
Right, exactly. And it's that classic, the grass is always greener,
Right.
amplified by social media,
Yeah.
that curated perfection,
Of course.
And speaking of social media, can't forget about Gen Z.
Right.
This generation that's grown up with this pressure to document their entire lives online,
Right.
including their relationships.
Everything is public.
It's a lot. So let's talk about communication styles.
Okay. And how they might be causing fireworks.
Yeah.
Or maybe even full-blown explosions.
Right.
In the dating world.
I like that. Fireworks and explosions.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah, it's almost like each generation's speaking a different love language.
All right.
You've got boomers who might, really value a heartfelt phone call.
Right.
Or a handwritten note.
Oh, yeah.
Those gestures speak volumes to them.
It's all about that personal touch.
Right.
That genuine effort to connect.
Exactly.
But for someone who's grown up, texting and DMing,
right,
those gestures might seem outdated or even, like, awkward.
Exactly, yeah. And then you have millennials, masters of the carefully crafted text message.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
They can convey a whole range of emotions with just a few emojis and perfectly timed responses.
Oh, it's an art form.
It really is, yeah.
It really is.
But for someone from an older generation, it might feel like they're trying to, decipher a secret code.
Totally.
Right.
It's no wonder there are misunderstandings.
Yeah, misunderstandings are inevitable. Imagine a boomer waiting for a phone call that never comes because their millennial date is like perfectly content with a few text exchanges.
Oh, exactly.
Or like a Gen Xer feeling ignored because their Gen Z partner is more comfortable expressing affection through a carefully curated Instagram story.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
They're playing entirely different games
Completely.
with different sets of rules.
Yeah.
So how do we bridge that communication gap? Is it even possible?
I think the first step is acknowledging that these differences exist.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, don't assume that your communication style is the right one or the only one.
Right.
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 Be open to learning how other generations, express themselves.
So it's about approaching the situation with curiosity rather than judgment.
Exactly.
Like, tell me about how you prefer to communicate and I'll share mine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about expressing your own preferences. It's also about actively listening to the other person's needs.
Right.
And trying to meet them halfway.
Well, it's a two-way street.
Yes.
No one should have to completely abandon their communication style, but everyone should be willing to, make some adjustments.
Flexibility is key.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe a boomer tries, sending a text message instead of immediately reaching for the phone.
Right.
Or a millennial picks up the phone to have a more in-depth conversation.
Right.
Instead of relying solely on emojis.
And maybe a Gen Xer learns to appreciate the subtle nuances of a well-placed meme.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot where everyone feels heard and understood.
I like that. Okay, so communication is crucial.
Yeah.
Flexibility is essential.
Right.
But, communication's not the only factor at play here.
No.
Shared experiences can be incredibly powerful in, bridging those generational gaps.
Absolutely.
Think about it. If a boomer and a millennial both love hiking, that shared passion can create a bond that, transcends their age difference.
It's finding that common ground.
Yeah, it is.
That shared language that goes beyond words.
It doesn't have to be some, grand, life-altering experience.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as, bonding over a favorite movie or, enjoying a meal together.
Or playing a game.
Yeah, or playing a game. Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's about creating those moments of connection.
Right.
Those shared memories that build a foundation of understanding and intimacy.
Exactly.
And sometimes those connections can happen in the most unexpected places. I remember reading about a boomer and a Gen Zer who bonded over their shared love of vintage video games.
I love that.
Who would have thought?
It just goes to show you that love and connection can blossom anywhere.
Yeah.
Regardless of age.
I think that's a beautiful thing.
It really is.
Yeah, it is. And it's a reminder that we shouldn't let generational stereotypes, limit our perspectives on love. There's so much we can learn from each other.
For sure.
There's so much wisdom and experience to be shared.
Right. And I think even with the best intentions and open communication, navigating a relationship with someone from a different generation can still be tricky.
Oh, of course.
Right. There are bound to be bumps in the road.
It's like learning to dance with a partner who has a completely different rhythm.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to step on each other's toes from time to time.
You are, yeah. And when those missteps happen, it's important to approach the situation with empathy and understanding.
Right.
Remember, your partner isn't trying to hurt you or annoy you.
Yeah.
They might simply be operating from a different set of cultural norms or expectations.
It's about giving each other the benefit of the doubt,
Yes.
assuming good intentions,
Yeah,
trying to see the situation from their perspective.
exactly. And when in doubt, communicate.
Right.
Don't let those misunderstandings fester. Talk it out, clarify your feelings, and find a solution that works for both of you.
Okay, so communication is key. Flexibility is essential. Shared experiences are the glue that holds it all together.
Yes.
But we haven't even touched on, like, the biggest game changer in modern dating,
Oh, right.
technology.
Yes, technology.
Yeah.
The double-edged sword of love in the 21st century.
Right.
You've got apps that connect us with potential partners from all over the world.
Right.
Social media platforms that, showcase our curated love lives.
It's true.
Instant messaging that allows us to communicate with anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, it's a whole new world out there.
It is.
It really is. And it's changing the way we, like, experience love and relationships.
And ourselves even.
Yeah, and ourselves.
Yeah.
Before we dive into, like, all those fascinating
Yeah.
and often complex dynamics,
Right.
let's take a moment to acknowledge, like, the profound impact technology has had on each generation's, like, approach to dating.
Yes, let's do that.
That sounds like a perfect segue into the final act
Aren't you?
of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
So buckle up, folks. We're about to explore the digital tapestry of love in the 21st century. Okay, so let's untangle this whole digital web that we've woven around modern love. It's amazing how technology has kind of impacted each generation's experience with dating differently. Where do we even begin to unpack this?
Well, I think a good place to start would be with the boomers. Online dating for them is almost like stepping into a parallel universe.
Right.
It can be, liberating.
Yeah.
The dating pool suddenly expands beyond, their immediate social circle.
Yeah.
But it can also be very overwhelming.
It's a whole new set of rules.
Right.
Like algorithms instead of chance encounters.
Right.
Carefully crafted profiles instead of, like, spontaneous conversations. It makes you wonder if something essential gets lost in translation.
Yeah, I think that's the key question.
Yeah.
Does the efficiency of online dating,
Yeah.
sacrifice some of the spontaneity, the organic discovery
Yeah.
that was so integral to courtship in the past?
Yeah, for sure.
For boomers who value, that face-to-face connection, I think building trust and rapport through a screen can feel very counterintuitive.
Yeah, almost like they're having to relearn the language of love in the digital age.
Yeah, in a way.
But honestly, online dating comes with its own set of anxieties, regardless of your age.
Oh, no, absolutely.
You've got catfishing, ghosting, the pressure to present this, like, perfectly curated version of yourself.
Yes, it's a lot to navigate.
It's a lot. It really is.
And for a generation that might be less familiar with, the nuances of online etiquette and safety,
All right.
those anxieties, I think, can be amplified.
Totally.
It's important to remember that, everyone, regardless of their generation, deserves to feel safe and respected in the dating world, online or offline.
Couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Okay, now let's shift gears to Gen X, because they seem to be, like, straddling both worlds a little bit. Comfortable with technology, but still grounded in, like, more traditional values.
Right.
How has that shaped their experience with dating, would you say?
Gen X is fascinating because they witnessed that transition,
Right.
from analog to digital firsthand.
Yeah.
They remember a time before smartphones and social media kind of dominated our lives.
Yeah.
But they've also adapted to these technologies with relative ease.
They're the bridge generation.
They are.
Right. Like, comfortable with both online dating and a good old-fashioned phone call.
Exactly. And I think that gives them a very unique perspective.
Totally.
They can appreciate the convenience and efficiency of online dating.
Right.
But they're also, I think, less likely to get swept up in the hype.
Right. Right.
They have that real-world experience,
Did you? Yeah.
balance things out.
And also, they're more likely to have, like, experienced the fallout from the divorce generation.
Right. Oh.
So that might make them more cautious or, like, pragmatic about love.
Right. It's not just about that initial spark.
Right.
It's about finding someone who's in it for the long haul.
Totally. Okay, now let's talk about millennials. Often portrayed as, like, the poster children for online dating. The generation that's, like, practically married to their smartphones. But, is there more to the story?
I think there's always more to the story.
Hmm.
While millennials are, incredibly tech-savvy,
Right.
comfortable navigating the digital dating landscape,
Yeah.
they're also grappling with a unique set of challenges.
Like that paradox of choice we were talking about before.
Yeah. Too many options, too much pressure to find the perfect partner.
Right, exactly.
And then there's the impact of social media,
Oh, yeah.
which can be both a blessing and a curse.
Oh, for sure.
On the one hand, it allows them to connect with people they might never have met otherwise.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it creates this constant pressure
Yeah.
to present a curated version of themselves,
Right, like their best self.
of their relationship.
Yeah. It's like they're living their love lives under a microscope with everyone watching and commenting. And let's be honest, who hasn't felt like a twinge of envy scrolling through like perfectly filtered Instagram posts of happy couples on exotic vacations?
It's human nature, I think, to compare ourselves to others.
Right.
But social media can take that to a whole new level.
Yeah.
It can fuel insecurity, create unrealistic expectations, and, even make us question the validity of our own experiences.
It's true. It's like we're constantly bombarded with these like idealized versions of love,
Yeah,
which can make it even harder to like appreciate the beauty and the complexity of real, messy, imperfect relationships.
absolutely. And that's something we need to be mindful of regardless of our generation,
Right.
or our level of engagement with social media.
Right.
It's about finding that balance between, connecting online
Right.
and nurturing those real-world connections that are so essential to our well-being.
Well said. Okay. And finally, we arrive at Gen Z, the true digital natives. They've never known a world without the internet or social media. So, like, how is that shaping their approach to love and relationships?
It is fascinating to observe how Gen Z is kind of, redefining the rules of dating in the digital age.
Right.
They're incredibly comfortable with technology,
Oh, sure.
but they're also hyper-aware of its pitfalls,
Yeah.
They've seen the impact of social media on, like, their older siblings and peers, and they're approaching it with a healthy dose of skepticism, I think.
So they're like more conscious of the performative aspects of social media, that pressure to, present a certain image.
Yes, and I think that's leading them to seek more authentic connection.
I see.
They're less concerned with, following those traditional dating scripts.
Right.
And more interested in finding partners who share their values, their interests, their sense of humor.
They're also a lot more vocal about mental health, like the importance of self-care and
Yeah.
setting boundaries. It's like they're rewriting the rules of engagement, prioritizing their well-being above all else.
Absolutely. And I think that's a very positive shift.
It is.
They're not afraid to challenge the status quo,
Right.
to have those difficult conversations,
Yeah.
to demand respect and authenticity in their relationships.
It's inspiring, honestly. Like, they're not letting technology dictate their experiences,
Right.
They're using it as a tool to connect on their own terms.
And I think that's the key takeaway from all of this. Technology is a tool.
It is.
It can be used for good or bad,
Yeah.
To connect or to isolate, it's up to us to decide how we want to use it, how we want to let it shape our experiences.
So it's not about, like, demonizing technology. It's about using it mindfully, intentionally,
Yes.
with a healthy dose of self-awareness.
Exactly. And remember, love is a human experience, not a technological one.
That's a good point.
It's about connection, intimacy, vulnerability, shared experiences. Don't let the digital world overshadow the beauty and complexity of, real-life relationships.
Wow, so well said. So there you have it. Our deep dive into generational love in the digital age. We've explored, the challenges, the triumphs, the anxieties, the ever-evolving dynamics of love in the 21st century.
And I think, the most important lesson we can take away from all of this is that love knows no boundaries. It transcends generations, cultures, technological divides.
It's a powerful force that connects us all. So go out there, embrace the complexities, and find love on your own terms. And as always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting.